Adrienne.
This is Teen Empowerment.
It's
a series of webisodes.
We will be covering a number of topics such as health, finance, college readiness, and even some mental illness related things like depression that can affect teens. While we did find experts, please make sure to consult your own doctor. What works for the general public might not work for you, and we don't want anyone to get hurt or sued.
Especially us. But take into consideration also that these episodes are not just directed towards teens. They can help the general public and people of all ages. Well, except maybe babies and toddlers and younger children and the elderly near death. But we will have fun on these episodes, and each one will have a different twist. So stay tuned. Our first episode is coming up. Hey guys, today's webisode is all about financial aid.
And we're going to be meeting with Mr. Weems, a high school economics teacher who has had great success in the financial business.
You will learn from his own personal experiences as well as his own teaching knowledge.
So, see you. Why do you think so many people are in debt today?
It's pretty easy. They're spending more money than they're making.
What can be done to get out of that situation?
Well, the obvious is stop spending more than you're making, and come up with a plan to pay off the debt that you have. And that takes there's several different ways to do that. The one I prefer is called the snowball method, where you start with your smallest debt and pay it off and pay a minimum on your other debts, and then once the small one's paid off, you add what you were paying on that one to the next debt, and it snowballs up until you finally pay off the largest debt.
And so the number one way to stay out of it is just manage your money better.
Don't spend more than you make.
So would credit cards contribute to that?
Credit cards are not bad. It's how people use credit cards that are bad. If you charge with a credit card and then pay it off within the amount of time the credit card company gives you each month, then there is no interest charges and the debt is clear. And you can end up using your money for other things during that period of time that could give you a return, like a savings account or something like that. What I tell my students in class is that the first time that you have a credit card bill that comes in that you cannot pay it off in its entirety, you should take out a pair of scissors and cut up your credit card, because you're not financially stable enough. You don't have enough money in your emergency fund to really warrant using credit cards. Now, credit cards have some positive things for them. For example, I have a Southwest Visa that I charge almost everything on, and I get a lot of air miles. I probably get 4 to 6 round-trip airplane tickets every year, and I pay a $50 fee a year for the card, but I pay it off every month, and so it doesn't create any debt in my life.
All right. How would you recommend buying a car or a house or things like that that would maybe need a loan?
Okay, well, a car and a home are the two largest purchases that someone makes in their lifetime, the average people. And first of all, I'm not a proponent of ever buying a new car. I think that's a complete waste of money, because the moment you start the car up and drive it off the lot, you have a 25 to 40% depreciation in the value of the car. And so what I try to encourage people to do is to buy what's called a program car. A program car is a car that is less than 3 years old. You want to try to have one that hasn't had more than 12 or 13,000 miles a year on it. It'll still be under warranty, and the person who sells you the car is the one who ate that 25 to 40% depreciation. And when you buy the car, you do take it to a reputable auto diagnostician to make sure the car is in excellent condition. You do a title search on it, you go to Carfax, you do all of those things to make sure you're not buying something that was somebody else's lemon. And then a house there are 3 general rules on buying houses as to what you can afford, And my recommendation is, like the banks, the mortgage companies, and the realtors would love to see you have 33% of your expendable income allowed to your house payment. But I tell people that 25% is a lot safer. You don't get as nice a house maybe up front, but you're able to afford to make the payments every month. The problem is today is most people your age, you go to college, they get out of college, they expect to have a home like this that your parents have worked years and years in the first 2 years that they're out in the real world. And that's just not realistic. And so we have a lot of people who are just way over their heads in the amount of money they're paying for their home.
College finances are a very big concern to teenagers, obviously. So should children be allowed to go into debt for college?
I don't think so. I don't think you should ever go into debt for anything except your home, which is the only purchase that I think warrants being in debt for.
So how would you suggest that a child or maybe a parent could help financially support that?
Well, first of all, I'm not really sure it's the parents' responsibility to send their children to college. What I did with my 2 children is we did a compromise situation. I told them I would send them to their last 2 years of college at any university they wanted to go to, but they had to handle their first 2 years. And I did this for a couple reasons. One is the first 2 years, I don't care if you're going to ACC or Harvard. You're going to take English, you're going to take history, you're going to take math, you're going to take a science. You're taking the basic required courses that all colleges require. The last 2 years are the years that you focus on your major and the one that you're going to make a career out of. So it makes more sense to go get your undergraduate, or not undergraduate, but those first 2 years of required courses at some place that's inexpensive, like ACC or a junior college or somewhere where you can live at home, work, and save up the money to pay for that. And then if it's a financial strain, if you're asking your parents to go into debt to send you to college, that's not good either. So I know I've had several students that have done, they've gone and gotten their first 2 years and worked, in some cases, 2 or 3 jobs, and were able to handle the academics and the jobs, and they saved up the money for the next couple years. But one of them went for 1 year, so now had her 3rd year of college. Then she dropped out for a year and held 2 different jobs and saved up the money for her last year. When she graduated, she owed no money. And it's not unusual today for students to be $80,000 to $150,000 in college debt, which is the same as a house payment for a lot of people. And so right away, they are behind the 8 ball, and many of them never do pay that debt off.
That's excellent advice, thank you. And unemployment is also kind of another concern. Is it possible to have 0% of the population?
No, it's not. In fact, in economics, we consider full employment at 4.5% to 5%, because you have to remember that about 4.5% of the population, you've got some people that don't have to work for a living. That's a small group, okay? You have some homes that are 2-income families where they choose, one parent chooses to stay home with the children. So they lower their standard of living a little bit, and one of them stays at home. You have people that, like yourself, that'll be in college, that aren't in the workforce but are considered eligible for the workforce. You have people in prison. You have people in hospital and long-term care from accidents or illnesses. And so you're never, and then you have a group of people that really just don't want to work for a living. And so they'll get by whatever way they can. And so that number usually comes up around 4.5%. And anytime, if you're an employer, because I was in business for 20 years before I came in teaching, and I had my own businesses, when the unemployment rate gets below 4.5%, it is really hard to find good, competent people to work, because the ones that are really in the workforce are all employed by then.
Okay. And just another thing, would you mind explaining inflation? Because when you explained that in class, it was a major wake up call, and I think that that'd be beneficial.
Well, inflation results from when prices go up, and it's a devaluation of your money. And so I think the example that I've used in my classes is that when I first had a job, minimum wage was 90 cents an hour, and the students always go, oh, how could you do anything with 90 cents? And I tell them, well, my 90 cents bought the same thing that your 7 1/4 buys today with minimum wage. Instead of $3.09 a gallon for gas, gas was 32 cents a gallon. Instead of a movie being $10 or $11 at night, a movie was $1.25. You know, a Whopper was 40 cents, not $2.49. And so it isn't that I was making less money, it was the value of my money was more at 90 cents than 90 cents is today. So inflation results from the causes of inflation are many. Right now, the biggest cause is our huge deficit in debt, and the government borrowing and printing more money than makes sense. And so that creates, our dollar has dropped dramatically just in the last 3 months. I saw where the euro was 132 it takes a $1.32 of our money to buy €1. It was down to 124, just a couple months ago. And so if you go to Europe or buy something from Europe, it's more expensive right now than it was a few months ago.
I saw on the news recently that several states are raising the minimum wage. So is that just going to raise the inflation?
Yes, that's a joke. That's a political thing to get reelected. Minimum wage increases for a very short period of time, 6 months to 12 months. The person actually makes more money. But then as the businesses have to start increasing their prices because of the increase of cost of labor, within 12 to 18 months, it takes more to buy, and the people, the increase they got is no longer valid. They're still making the same amount of money as they were before the increase.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
We're good. Thank you so much for watching our videos.
If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below in the comment section or even message us on Facebook.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your suggestions too, if maybe you want another video made about some other topic that we can help you out, like picking out cool stuff for your dorm room.
We are both going through the college dorm room experience at the moment, and we would love to answer any questions about preparing for that experience, getting through it, or any advice on how to make it easier.
Yeah, so just let us know what you think. Thank you so much for watching.